A lot of times people think like creating a company is going to be fun. I would say it's not. It's really not that fun. I mean, there are periods of fun, and there are periods of where it's just awful. And particularly if you're the CEO of the company, you actually have a distillation of all the worst problems in the company. So you only spend your time on things that are going wrong, and there are things that are going wrong that other people can't take care of. So you have like the worst. You have a filter for the crappiest problem in the company. The most pernicious and painful problem. I think you have to feel quite compelled to do it and have a fairly high pain threshold.
It's easy to have ideas. It's very hard to turn an idea into a successful product.
People say you have to have a lot of passion for what you're doing, and it's totally true. And the reason is because it's so hard that if you don't, any rational person would give up. It's really hard. And you have to do it over a sustained period of time. So if you don't love it, if you're not having fun doing it, you don't really love it, you're going to give up. And that's what happens to most people, actually. If you really look at the ones that ended up, being successful, unquote, in the eyes of society, and the ones that didn't, oftentimes it's the ones that are successful loved what they did so they could persevere when it got really tough. And the ones that didn't love it quit because they're sane. Right? Who would want to put up with this stuff if you don't love it? So it's a lot of hard work, and it's a lot of worrying constantly. And if you don't love it, you're going to fail.
If somebody reads the book to say that if you spend 10,000 hours doing something, you'll be super good at it, I don't think that's quite as simple as that. What you do is you do about 50 hours, and 90% drop out because they don't like it or they're not good. You do another 50 hours and 90% drop out. So there's these constant cycles, and you do have to be lucky enough, but also fanatical enough to keep going. And so the person who makes it to 10,000 hours is not just somebody who's done it for 10,000 hours. There's somebody who's chosen and been chosen in many different times.
It's very difficult to start companies and quite painful. I think that's important to bear in mind. I don't know if that's probably not encouraging. There's a friend of mine who's got a good phrase for doing a startup. It's like eating glass and staring into the abyss. So it's if you go into it expecting it's going to be just fun, you will be disappointed. It's not.
The staring into the abyss part is that you're going to be constantly facing the extermination of the company. Because most startups fail. Arguably 99% of startups fail.
The thing that was scary to me wasn't quitting and starting the company. It was when I started hiring my friends and they expected to be paid. And then we had customers who went bankrupt, customers that I'd counted on to come through.
Sometimes life's going to hit you in the head with a brick. Don't lose faith. I'm convinced that the only thing that kept me going was that I loved what I did. You've got to find what you love.
Just an innovator, engineer, instead of a business owner or runner.
I mean, I'd love to just do innovation work and just do engineering. But you raise a good point, because a lot of life in general, in any job, there's you have to do your chores. I think to be successful at almost anything, you have to do the tough stuff and as well as the enjoyable stuff. You have to do the boring stuff as well as the non-boring stuff. Constantly saying, okay, if I don't get this right, the company will die. It can be quite stressful. And the eating glass part is you've got to do the problems. You've got to work on the problems that the company needs you to work on, not the problems you want to work on. And that goes on for a long time.
If you're going to start a company, it takes so much energy that it better overcome your feeling of risk.
It's normal to feel fear. You'd have to be something mentally wrong if you didn't feel fear.
I didn't think of it as all that risky. I mean, I was so excited about what we were doing. It's true I could have gone bankrupt.
You need to be nimble and robust. So you need to be able to take a punch, and you also need to be quick and innovative and doing new things at a high speed. That's the best defense against the future.
Is that in all success stories, there are significant elements of luck and timing.
Don't try to chase what is kind of the hot passion of the day. It's almost like the 1849 gold rush. They might have been a doctor, but they quit being a doctor and they started panning for gold. And that almost never works. And even if it does work, according to some metric, financial success or whatever it might be, I suspect it leaves you ultimately unsatisfied.
So how do you keep your focus on the big picture when you're constantly faced with, we could be out of business in a month?
So I always tell people who are, who think they want to be entrepreneurs, you need a combination of stubborn relentlessness and flexibility. And you have to know when to be which. And basically you need to be stubborn on your vision, because otherwise it'll be too easy to give up. But you need to be very flexible on the details, because as you go along pursuing your vision, you'll find that some of your preconceptions were wrong, and you're going to need to be able to change those things. So I think taking an idea successfully all the way to the market and turning it into a real product that people care about and that really improves people's lives is a lot of hard work.
You know where you're generally heading for, and the actual path is going to be some sort of zigzaggy thing in that direction. And try not to deviate too far from the path that you want to be on, but you're going to have to do that to some degree.
You had that third failure in a row. Did you think, I need to pack this in?
Never.
Why not?
I don't ever give up. I mean, I'd have to be dead or completely incapacitated.
As Edison said, it's 1% inspiration, 99% perspiration.
For the past 33 years, I've looked in the mirror every morning and asked myself, if today were the last day of my life, would I want to do what I am about to do today? And whenever the answer has been no for too many days in a row, I know I need to change something.
Every time we think, hey, we've had a little bit of success, we're pretty careful not to dwell on it too much, because the bar gets raised, people's expectations.
And that's how I see business. Great things in business are never done by one person. They're done by a team of people.
So why do smart people do things that interfere with really getting the output they're entitled to? And it gets into habits and character and temperament, and it really gets into behaving in a rational manner. It's not getting in your own way. As I say, everybody here has the ability absolutely to do anything I do and much beyond. And some of you will and some of you won't. But it will, the ones that won't, it will be because you get in your own way. It won't because the world doesn't allow you to. It will be because you don't allow yourself to. So I have one little suggestion for you. Pick out the person in the class that you admire the most, and then write down why you admire them. Put down a list of qualities. You're not to name yourself in this one. And then put down the one that frankly you can stand the least in the whole group, and put down the qualities that turn you off in that person, and look at that list, and you won't find it's a bunch of things like throwing a football 70 yards or anything of the sort. The qualities of the first one that you admire are qualities that you, with a little practice, can make your own, and which, if practiced, will become habit forming. The chains of habit are too light to be felt until they're too heavy to be broken. I mean,
Be proud not of your gifts, but of your hard work and your choices. So, you may be, the kinds of gifts you get, like, you might be really good at math. It might be really easy for you. That's a kind of gift. But practicing that math and taking it to the next step, that could be very challenging and hard and take a lot of sweat. That's a choice. You can't really be proud of your gifts because they were given to you. You can be grateful for them and thankful for them.
The key resource you have to deal with is your time and how you spend time. And I'm pretty rigorous at looking back each year. I even get my friend Steve Ballmer to come in and look at my schedule and criticize, hey, you didn't really need to spend time on this or that.
Stay hungry, stay foolish. Thank you all very much.